This wasn't just a crime scene, was it?
No, it was not. This one was bad. Two innocent people that were on their first date had their lives destroyed. For what reason?
How well did Leslie Reeves know Chris Smith?
First date. Chris was in a band and a singer, and they had connected, and he asked her out.
The night before Thanksgiving, they decided just to meet up and go to the bar.
He lived 65 miles away in a really small farming community.
The bar that night was very busy. The place was packed, wall to wall. Chris and Leslie were talking a lot, laughing, getting along with everyone around them.
She texted me around 10, and she said everything's going okay. She did then text a second text that said, I feel like something's a little bit off or something. I'm not sure what she meant.
Was that text the last time you heard from Leslie Reeves?
Yes, it was.
Did you try texting her in the morning? And did she respond?
No. I just started driving towards Farmersville because I had the address and called the police department in that area.
Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, this is Jeff.
Hi, I'm gravely concerned about my friend. Can someone do a welfare check?
What are you feeling at this point, Nana?
A lot of anxiety because I don't know what I'm going to walk into going up there to this house. I pulled up in front of the address.
And then who came while you're sitting there?
While I'm sitting there, who's this woman parked? I said, well, maybe I'll roll my window down and talk to her.
I asked her if she was checking on Chris, and she said she was checking on her friend. And that's when I went up to the door. I saw the back door was broken, and then I saw Chris laying there. And then I ran back to my car and called 911.
Nobody's answering the door, and the back window's shattered, and there's a body, and there's a foot I saw on the floor. I'm only 16. I can't deal with this.
I was in shock, I think.
Sheriff's Office, Jeff.
Jeff, give me some help. I got one alive and one dead.
I just remember them bringing Chris out on the stretcher to the ambulance. I remember there being a sheet over him, so it made me panic a little bit.
I got a call from our command center in Springfield.
So you are the lead crime scene investigator?
Yes.
Were you really prepared for what you faced when you walked into that house?
I was not.
Why would somebody do this to him? Why would they try to hurt my baby? That's all I kept thinking. He's my baby. Someone hurt him.
Going on a first date and they both end up getting shot is insane.
On the afternoon of Thanksgiving Day 2021, Nanette Stiber sat in her car and watched anxiously as EMTs and Montgomery County Sheriff's deputies descended on a house in the tiny village of Farmersville, Illinois.
I was quite upset and kind of going crazy in the car.
Nanette had been unable to reach her good friend Leslie Reeves. Nanette knew Leslie had gone to that house the night before to go on a first date with Chris Smith, a man she had met online.
She was very excited. She thought, oh, this might be a really good connection.
But now Nanette was worried. She'd seen Chris get taken away in an ambulance, but there was no sign of Leslie.
I kept hoping, okay, bring Leslie out, please.
Finally, a detective approached and asked Nanette for a photo of Leslie. She showed him her phone, and he gave her the horrible news.
I'm so sorry to have to tell you this. Your friend has been murdered, shot, he said. He didn't tell me where, but he did say, I want you to know that she went very quickly.
EMTs had found Chris barely conscious and unable to say anything about the shooting. They rushed him to the hospital, and deputies searched the house. Later that day, crime scene investigator Josh Easton of the Illinois State Police was called to the scene, and he began cataloging the mayhem inside. What do you see when you first approach the door?
I noticed the side door of the house, the glass in the door has been broken out. The refrigerator was pulled away from the wall. The kitchen table was pushed, the chairs were knocked over.
No weapon was found, leading investigators to suspect that a third person was involved. Easton took note of every detail, including the burnt pizza in the oven.
I assumed that maybe they were cooking a pizza for the night, and the suspect shows up at the door. They both tried to fight him off, and when Chris was shot, Leslie went to the living room to try to hide.
How many times was she shot?
She was only shot one time.
In the head?
In the head.
Leslie's body was in the living room, while Chris had been found in the kitchen. Easton said of the 1,800 crime scenes he had been to, this was one of the most horrific.
There was blood everywhere. The cabinets, the refrigerator, the countertop, there was blood from corner to corner in the kitchen.
Easton spotted 2 silver-colored bullet casings from a 9mm gun, one in the kitchen and the other near Leslie's body. As Easton processed the scene, detectives began learning about the victims. Chris Smith was a 48-year-old divorced father who worked for a pool contractor.
Chris was a nice guy. He would hang out here frequently, was friends with most people in town. Everybody knew him.
Bartender Dina LeGrand says Chris was well known in town as the guy who grew banana trees and giant pumpkins.
I remember one Halloween, he donated hundreds of pumpkins for decorations for any of the kids to paint. He gave back to his community.
Did either one of you ever worry about Chris?
No.
No.
Sharon Costanza is Chris's mother, Ashley Holcomb, his sister.
Chris is a stay-home person that literally would just work in his backyard.
Chris lived with a dog named Tiki, and an EMT told the family that Tiki may have helped Chris make it through the night by huddling with him for the roughly 12 hours that Chris was bleeding before being rescued.
I think Tiki protected Chris. I think she probably laid right next to him.
Chris's close-knit family could not imagine anyone wanting to kill him.
It was like, no way, how, why, like...
Who? Yeah, who would have done that?
Investigators had the same questions about Leslie and learned that she was a divorced mother of 2 children who lived in Troy, about an hour south of Farmersville. Although Leslie had a master's degree in engineering, she chose instead to teach Pilates and to promote self-defense classes for women.
Hi, I'm Leslie from All You Studio, and
Leslie posted this video to her YouTube channel to advertise one of her classes.
Empower yourself against aggression and assault as we teach you easy-to-learn self-defense techniques. Power up!
Leslie tried to help women in abusive relationships, but friends say she had her own troubles. Nanette told deputies she was worried about a former boyfriend, a contractor by the name of Robert Tarr, known as Bobby.
She said, I am going to completely block Bobby from email, texts, phone calls. I have to go no contact.
Later that evening, news of Leslie's murder began circulating and reached another close friend, Amy Steinhauer. She had met Tar, a divorced father of 3, and did not have a good impression of him. But
You never see someone and think that they can kill my friend.
Amy called the sheriff's office that night to give them Tar's name. By then, detectives had already set out to find Bobby Tar, while 85 miles to the north, surgeons were fighting to try to save the life of Chris Smith, a bullet still lodged in his brain.
I just wanted to get there. I just wanted to get there as fast as I could.
After learning that Chris had been shot in the head, his family rushed to the hospital in Springfield, Illinois, 2 hours from their home.
I was on the phone to everyone I could think of because I just needed prayers from everybody.
Doctors removed part of Chris's skull and some bullet fragments in his brain before putting him in a medically induced coma. His family, struggling to piece together what had happened, learned that he had been out with a woman named Leslie Reeves. Had you ever heard the name Leslie Reeves before?
No. I looked her up, and then I tried to reach out to her friends, and then I found her best friend, Nanette.
Nanette told them the same thing she had told investigators. She suspected Leslie's ex-boyfriend, Bobby Tar. That night, sheriff's deputies went to Tar's home in Collinsville, an hour south of the crime scene. Authorities say he never asked why they wanted to talk to him, and he agreed to go to the police station without a lawyer.
T-A-R-R, correct? Mm-hmm.
Although her friend said the couple had broken up, Tar told investigators that he and Leslie were still together.
You and Leslie have a lot of problems?
I wouldn't say no worse than any average couple.
It was Leslie the detectives wanted to talk about.
I want you to dig down deep here and be as honest with me as you can, okay? Leslie is dead.
What?
Can you help me shed some light on this?
How did she die?
She was murdered.
What happened?
That's why we're here with you. You help me believe that you're not involved in this.
I'm not involved in anything.
Investigators asked Tar about Farmersville, the scene of the crime.
You know where Farmersville is?
Farmersville? No, I can't say that I do. I've never been there. I've never heard of it.
And they asked Tar where he had been the night before Thanksgiving.
I went to a buddy of mine's house. He left me some money out of his shop, and I had to go pick it up.
The friend lived a short distance from Tar's home.
Remember what time you came back?
Yeah, it wasn't that long. Maybe 6:30ish, something like that.
Investigators believe the shooting took place sometime early on Thanksgiving morning after 1 a.m. Tar said after he got back, he was home all night.
You can talk to my daughter about me being home.
That's exactly what they did. Detectives brought Tar's 17-year-old daughter, Shelby, to a different room at the police station, and she told them that her father actually left home twice that night.
So the first time he left was roughly 6:30.
Right.
And then he came home about a half hour later and
Right.
said he had to go back.
Right.
And then it was 9:15-ish when he got back home.
Yeah.
Shelby said he had been gone for more than 2 hours, and when he got home, he was upset.
He gets home, he was crying, he was sobbing. He said he missed Leslie.
Shelby said she went to sleep around 9:30 and was awakened by her father around 2:45 a.m.
He started laundry, he was pacing, walking around, and he was like, I can't sleep.
Detectives went back to Tar and told him Shelby's story did not match his. Tar then changed his story and said he had gone to his friend's house twice, but still insisted he was home by 8. As Tar sat at the police station, detectives searched his house and found his phone and a Glock pistol. Shelby had told them her father had a different gun, but they didn't find it.
It's little, it's like this big. I look at my green, like the army green.
Shelby told investigators she had seen it the day before Thanksgiving in her father's sock drawer.
Yesterday morning, actually, I went to get socks and it was there. And now it's not there.
Was there yesterday, gone today? Okay.
Bobby Tar sat at the police station overnight while authorities continued to investigate. They had already learned that his car had been captured by license plate reader cameras just after midnight, the night of the shooting. The cameras were near a gas station, and investigators discovered that Tar had bought gas there just after midnight. Back at the police station, they confronted him with the gas station receipt.
So you're a liar. Because I don't remember doing that. You don't remember being out after midnight when you have told us you are 100% positive.
The gas station is here in Troy.
Yes.
And the murder occurred here in Farmersville.
Correct.
The gas station was near Tar's home, an hour from the crime scene. Andrew Affronti is the Montgomery County State's attorney. He has dystonia, a condition that causes muscle tics and tremors.
So why is it significant? So he went out and got some gas.
It was significant to us because why would he lie about it?
So I got fuel. What does that prove?
Investigators believed it was proof Tar was lying about his whereabouts that night. They placed him under arrest.
You're under arrest for murder.
Affronti says they arrested Tar immediately because they feared Chris's life was in danger. And they hadn't found the murder weapon.
If he was out of custody, could he take further steps to dispose of the evidence?
Just one day after Leslie Reeves was killed and Chris Smith was left fighting for his life, investigators believed they had the man responsible in custody.
I'm Erin Moriarty.
Bobby Tar.
But in his only media interview, Bobby Tar tells 48 Hours they got the wrong guy.
There is so many things untold that will prove my innocence.
Bobby Tar, charged with the murder of Leslie Reeves and the attempted murder of Chris Smith, is nothing if not unflappable.
Did you kill Leslie Reeves?
No.
Did you shoot Chris Smith?
No.
He kept his cool even when confronted with a litany of lies he told investigators.
You told the police you only left the house once. That wasn't true.
Correct.
You told the police you had no idea where Farmersville is. That was a lie. You lied about getting gas in your car that night.
When he spoke with us, Tar admitted he was at Chris Smith's house the night before Thanksgiving, placing himself at the scene of the crime. He says the night began when he met Leslie at her part-time job at this loft store.
She had said she was going to go meet some friends because one of their friends was playing in a band. She asked me if I wanted to go. And I said, well, you know, I would go, but I have my youngest daughter staying with me for a week.
Tar says that when he declined the invitation, Leslie asked if he would follow her to Farmersville because her van was unreliable, and so he did. That makes no sense to Leslie's friend, Amy Steinhauer.
She was terrified of him. And rightfully so.
Just a few weeks earlier, Amy says, Leslie told her that Tar had shown up while she was on a first date with a different guy. After that incident, Leslie told Amy she was frightened by Tar and texted Amy, I could be killed by him someday if I don't cut all contact.
So you're telling me now that this woman who was scared of you, who had actually texted a friend that she thought you might kill her, asked you to follow her to another man's house?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
No, I understand. So I don't understand that text in general.
Why did she think you might kill her?
I don't know. I've got no clue.
Tar says Leslie lied to her friends about their relationship. He insists she asked him to follow her north to Farmersville.
So I went with her up there. I think we arrived there around 7:30. I parked in front of her van in front of his house. That's as far as I went. I left. I never went back to Farmersville again.
If he had an innocent explanation for why he was in Farmersville, why did he lie to detectives?
My daughter, her and Leslie, there was a little bit of tension between both them. I did not want her to know that I was going to meet Leslie that night.
Tar claims that after he lied to his daughter Shelby about seeing Leslie, he stuck to that lie at the police station because he was afraid they would tell her. And he never corrected those lies, even when detectives arrested him.
Why not just say, look, between you and me, I lied to my daughter, so let me tell you the truth, but let's just not share that with her. Why wouldn't you do that?
I should have done that.
He's quick to point out the lack of physical evidence connecting him to the bloody crime scene. Investigators searched his white Jetta, but did not find any shards of glass or bloodstains.
2 tests by the state police were done on my car. 0 blood found in my car. There's 0 DNA of mine at the crime scene, anything from the crime scene in my car or on me or any of my clothing or my shoes. 0.
Prosecutor Affronti has to concede that point.
Was any of Tar's DNA found inside the house?
No.
Were any of his fingerprints found inside the house?
No.
And authorities still had not found the murder weapon. But a week after the shooting, they got a phone call from Tar's friend Billy Adams. Adams said Tar had called him from jail. That call was recorded.
What's your day look like today? Because I need 10 minutes of your time.
Tar asked Adams to go to his house and look for some deck brackets.
I got some special aluminum brackets and that I need you to get because they're for another job that I didn't tell Dad about yet. So don't say nothing to him.
Instead, Adams contacted the sheriff's office. Deputies suspected Tar knew the phone call was being recorded and was speaking to his friend in code about something other than deck brackets.
They're aluminum? Yeah, get them and get rid of them.
They thought that was suspicious, which was why they went over and searched.
Investigators were on their hands and knees in Tar's yard looking for a gun. Dan Foltz is Tar's defense attorney.
They searched that area thoroughly. No gun. You know what they did find? Deck brackets.
A few days later, they got another phone call, this time from Tar's brother, asking them to come back to the house. Tar's family gave deputies a Ziploc bag they said they had found in the same yard that had been searched just days earlier. Inside, a Springfield Hellcat 9mm pistol and silver-colored ammunition. The Illinois State Police determined the gun was the murder weapon, and the ammunition matched the casings found at the crime scene.
We still to this day don't know how that ended up there, specifically in the spot that they searched.
Are you saying you were set up? Someone was framing you?
Yes.
But if someone was framing Tar, he or she would have to be pretty detail-oriented. The state police say Tar's fingerprint was on the Ziploc bag.
He is adamant that he would not have been dumb enough that he would have carried it all the way back to his home and said, where would I put this gun on my 1-acre lot? I think I'll put it next to the front door.
And Tar points out neither his prints nor DNA were found on the gun itself.
Nothing on the firearm, no DNA, no prints of mine on the firearm.
What I think what happened is that the gun was cleaned and that Mr. Tarr just missed a spot.
That spot was Leslie's DNA, say police, found on the guide rod of the gun. Tarr's explanation? The gun wasn't his, it belonged to Leslie.
I purchased the Hellcat and Leslie purchased it from me.
As investigators continued to build a case against Bobby Tarr, they say he was hatching a plan to silence the only eyewitness.
Did you ask a inmate to shoot Chris Smith?
Leslie accompanied me here on several occasions.
If there's anyone who knew what guns Leslie Reeves owned, it's Howard Bolton, her close friend and firearm instructor.
When I would hold classes, she would actually shoot with us. Leslie was becoming a very good shot.
Bolton says Leslie had organized a class called Girls with Guns not long before she was murdered.
We put the girls through their paces. They would move and fire. They would go forward and fire. They would come back and fire. And Leslie did very, very well at that.
Bobby Tarr insisted to us that Leslie owned the Hellcat that was used to kill her. But Howard says he never saw her use it.
Leslie never brought a Springfield, let alone a Hellcat, to class.
So then, how did Leslie's DNA get on the guide rod of the murder weapon? Howard believes that Leslie's DNA could only be on that guide rod if the gun was fired at her at close range.
So when he shot her, wherever it was he shot her, would have contaminated that part of the gun.
In fact, Howard says Leslie owned a different gun. Her friends say they wish she had taken it with her the night she was killed.
Had Leslie taken the gun with her, I assure you the outcome would have been different.
Tarr declared his innocence, but the case against him could hinge on what Chris Smith, the only survivor, remembers. Would he be able to identify him? That was the question as Chris remained in a coma.
We were talking to him, singing to him, and I was always holding his hand.
While Chris Smith lay helpless, authorities say Tarr was plotting to silence him forever. A grand jury indicted Tarr on 2 counts of solicitation of murder. Those charges are based on allegations by an inmate who says Tarr paid him $10,000 to shoot and kill the lead detective and Chris.
Did you ask a inmate to shoot Chris Smith?
No, ma'am.
And to kill Detective Roach?
No, ma'am.
Tarr says the alleged plot was a lie concocted by a former cellmate. Tarr says he loaned that cellmate $10,000 for his bond and that it had nothing to do with Chris Smith.
Were you worried he was going to testify and point to you as the shooter?
No, I was not worried one iota.
The truth was that no one knew what Chris Smith remembered. The first time he regained consciousness was in early January 2022, about 2 months after the shooting.
Like egg foo young.
Egg foo young?
Chris's voice was so weak in those early days
It's already done over there.
that his old friend Mark Reardon, a talk show host in St. Louis,
522, 97.1 FM Talk. Mac Bradley.
barely recognized Chris on the phone.
I could not believe that I was hearing from this guy. And I cried, he cried. Just talking about that moment really brings me chills because I just thought he was never going to be someone that was in my life ever again.
What did Chris tell you?
Well, when Chris came out of this, I was pretty sensitive to ask him about what had happened that night because I think I was a little afraid of even having those conversations. So most of the conversations that we had were really focused on, hey, how are you? Are you going to be okay?
After intense physical therapy, he's made incredible strides. He's much stronger than when he awoke from a coma, but he discovered there are gaps in his memory. What does he remember from that terrible night?
I wish to God I could remember something. I mean, even just a smidgen of something, but I remember nothing.
He remembers nothing of the shooting or Leslie Reeves.
I said, who the heck's Leslie? I don't know Leslie.
You had no idea?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
No, nothing.
Is Chris the same person who used to come on your show before he was shot?
Yeah, I think at the core, he's still the same guy that I knew. He's still the smartass. He's still the guy that's going to talk about how good he is and how good he was and how much he could lift weights.
Chris works out at the gym most mornings, trying to regain muscle so that someday he'll be able to walk without assistance.
Straighten them curves.
He's even back to being the lead singer in his rock and roll band.
I don't know how he did make it. I don't understand how he did. He's a miracle.
But Chris is aware his life is very different from what it once was.
So I'm half the man I used to be, but I'm trying to get it back as hard as I can. And then my left leg is partially paralyzed from my hip to my knee, then from my knee to my toes, completely paralyzed. So if there's any neurosurgeons out there, any researchers out there, please get a hold of me. I'll be your guinea pig. Just make me normal and give me my life back, please.
It's tough, isn't it, Chris?
Tough doesn't even describe it. Doesn't even describe it.
Chris is resigned to living with part of that hollow point bullet in his brain. Doctors say it's in a spot that makes it too dangerous to remove.
So that's where you got shot?
Yep, right here. Yep, you still feel it in my skull. Right there.
After decades on his own, Chris had to move back into his mother's house.
I thank my blessings daily that he's here with us. I just wish that this guy didn't take everything away from him.
Chris visits with his loyal dog Tiki, but no longer lives with her. And he'd love to see his 12-year-old daughter more often, but he can't drive. And he's living in St. Louis, almost 2 hours away from his daughter and ex-wife.
I miss her. She was my little pea in the pod. I mean, we did everything together.
The trial of Robert Tarr was set for April 2024, but Chris would not be there. He told the prosecutor he was too angry to attend.
You didn't think you'd be able to just sit there?
Oh, no, no way. I know myself. There's no way, no.
But Chris's alleged shooter, Bobby Tarr, will be there. And he said he was eager to tell the jury that he's not a violent man.
But on this one night early morning, did you snap?
No. That's not my nature. I don't lose it and snap.
When Bobby Tarr went on trial in April 2024, prosecutors told the jury that he killed Leslie Reeves rather than allow her to live the life she wanted, a life without him.
Mr. Tarr couldn't deal with the fact that Leslie was seeing somebody else and he had to go and take care of it.
Andrew Affronti says Tarr secretly followed Leslie to Farmersville early that evening, and shortly afterwards, his phone began showing some interesting activity.
He had actually searched Chris Smith on his phone, had tried to find his Facebook profile.
Tarr headed home and texted his friend Billy Adams. I don't feel like she would drive that far for a party or go out with a girlfriend. I think it's for a dude. He also searched whether police could track his phone if he was using a VPN, a virtual private network.
He was researching to determine whether or not that would mask where his location was while he was using the phone.
Authorities say around midnight, Tarr left home, stopping at that gas station. And then, according to Affronti, surveillance videos and cell tower records show that Tarr drove back to Farmersville.
You believe he intended to kill both Chris and Leslie?
I 100% believe that he went up there with the intent to do serious harm to both of them.
With one victim dead and the other with no memory, it's difficult to say with certainty what happened. But the prosecution argued that sometime after 1 a.m., Bobby Tarr tried to enter through the back door of Chris Smith's house. Leslie and Chris tried to keep him out.
There was some kind of altercation or struggle, and that's when the glass was broken.
Crime scene investigator Josh Easton told the jury what he had observed inside the kitchen.
The refrigerator was pulled away from the wall where it appeared it normally was.
Prosecutors believe Leslie was trying to use the refrigerator to block the door. And based on where Chris was shot in his head, they think he was crouching down to help Leslie.
I think that while Chris was crouched down trying to hold the door shut, Bobby shot through the door and struck Chris.
With Chris incapacitated, Affronti says Leslie hid in the living room. Tarr tracked her down, shot, and killed her.
I strongly believe that he walked in and executed her.
Defense attorney Dan Foltz disputes all of that.
There is simply no evidence that that's what happened. There's no evidence that Leslie pushed the refrigerator. There's no fingerprints and blood on the refrigerator of Leslie's.
Foltz says evidence of a fight in the kitchen tells a different story.
The amount of blood in that kitchen was astonishing.
From looking at that crime scene, do you believe that Christopher Smith had to fight his assailant in the kitchen?
It would appear to me that there was some significant struggle in that kitchen between him and someone else.
And he says the assailant could not have been Bobby Tarr because he would have been covered in blood.
They did not identify a single piece of DNA in his car. They didn't identify a bloody fingerprint. They did not identify anything tying him to that crime scene.
But prosecutors argued the house wasn't bloody when Tarr left. They said Chris bled heavily in the 12 hours it took for help to arrive. And while the prosecution did not have a lot of forensic evidence linking Tarr to the crime scene, Affronti says his phone activity, his lies to investigators, and the evidence found on the Hellcat all prove his guilt.
When you put all of that together, that's when you get the clear picture of what happened.
When it was the defense's turn, Tarr says he wanted to tell his story to the jury, but he chose not to testify.
Why didn't you just decide you were going to talk to the jury and tell this story if, in fact, you have a story to tell?
I should have. I very well should have.
We made a strategic decision because it may have opened the door for a whole lot of other more damaging evidence to be used to cross-examine him.
The defense didn't put on any witnesses and counted on the jury to find reasonable doubt in the lack of physical evidence. After 3 hours, the jury found Bobby Tarr guilty of first-degree murder and attempted murder.
Everyone clapped. And Bobby just sat there, shaking his head.
2 months later, Tarr was back in court for sentencing, and this time, so was Chris, to tell the judge how the shooting impacted him and his family. Cameras were not allowed in the courtroom.
Lost my house, lost my truck. I've literally lost my life without being killed.
Tarr also spoke and denied shooting Leslie and Chris. The judge sentenced him to 85 years.
I hope the rest of his time on this earth is hell.
Leslie Reeves' friends are focused on keeping her memory alive.
She was a light of a lot of people's lives. She was always smiling. She was a very good mother, lived for her kids, and was an advocate and champion of women, women's rights, and especially women that were abused.
If it can happen to her, it could happen to anyone, so we all need to be careful.
Chris Smith says he never expected he'd be a victim of domestic violence and cautions other men to take a hard look at their behavior.
If guys, you feel like that, you want to hurt a woman, get help.
While Chris mourns his old life, he's writing a book about his experiences and says he's working to make what he calls poor man's margaritas out of the lemons and limes he's been handed.
I've got a do-over. Good Lord, give me a do-over. Not many people get a second chance in life.
Chris has found love with Michelle Albrecht.
She's an angel, loving me and accepting me the way that I am.
He proposed to her on stage.
I just asked her if she'd marry me, guys.
What's the most important lesson out of all of this?
Don't ever give up on anything, ever, no matter how bad things are. Don't ever give up.
"48 hours. Don't miss an episode."
Every time I seen her, she would be texting or Facebooking, and she was constantly on her phone.
I'm Nicole Lovell, and I've been nominated for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
Oh. She's a happy-go-lucky kid.
Oh, yes!
She smiled and she sang all the time.
Give me just one touch, and baby, I believe.
Tonight, the search intensifies for a missing teen from Blacksburg. Take a good look. This is Nicole Lovell. She's 13 and was last seen in the Lantern Ridge area of Blacksburg between midnight and 7 Wednesday morning.
Her father posted this message to Facebook.
Nicole, honey, if you see this, if you're out there, you can come to me. I'm not mad at you. I'm worried about you.
Police are looking into whether an app popular with teens was used to lure the girl.
That night, I was gonna knock on the wall and tell her to come in and sleep with me like she usually does. And I didn't do it.
It's with a heavy heart that I have to announce that we've located the remains of 13-year-old Nicole Madison Lovell.
100 CCOM en route 89 West, Snowbird Curve.
So where was Nicole Lovell's body?
Nicole was, from what we understand, in the trunk of the car, and they moved her right over here, got close to the edge and just...
A very preliminary determination of the cause of death is stabbing.
I went to high school with David Eisenhower. Everything he did, he worked hard at, and he wanted to be the best at.
Investigators have said the 18-year-old college athlete and engineering student knew the little girl and, quote, used the relationship to his advantage to abduct her.
At 12:39 a.m., just past midnight, Nicole sends her last electronic message to Dr. Tombstone. David Eisenhower's Kik account username.
I want to go to jail. I didn't do anything wrong.
A second Virginia Tech student, Natalie Keepers, has also been charged.
Natalie Keepers was an extremely smart person. She was very academically driven. She had connections to NASA.
They stop at the Walmart, they buy cleaning supplies, gloves, wipes, bleach. The defendant purchases a garden shovel.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could have stopped.
I trust the courts will do what they feel is just,
this is really scary. I don't think anyone ever expected any of our classmates to become a alleged murderer.
It's no longer a situation where you worry about your child meeting a stranger in the park. You really need to worry about the stranger your child's meeting on the phone that you gave them for Christmas. This is the new crime of our time.
"48 Hours, Killer App," reported by Peter Van Sant.
Every morning, I come out here, sit with her for an hour. It's just been a nightmare. I still hope that she would come around the corner when she gets off the bus, or she'll come out of her room.
The nightmare for Nicole Lovell's mother, Tammy Weeks, began on the morning of January 27th, 2016.
I pushed the door open, and the nightstand was up against the door.
Sometime in the middle of the night, the 13-year-old had climbed out of her bedroom window, taking along her phone and her favorite blue cartoon blanket.
Did you call her cell phone?
Oh, yeah, a bunch of times.
And what would happen?
It goes straight to voicemail. I text message her. Everybody was calling her, texting her.
Tammy called police and began scouring the area. Before long, a neighborhood mother gave her some chilling news.
Nicole had been playing with her daughters and said that Nicole said she was going out on a date.
Like millions of teens, Nicole spent a lot of her social time online. So Tammy feared she might have left to see someone she'd met on the internet.
You must be a bit panicked at this point.
Yeah.
The FBI has now joined regional and state law enforcement in the search. This afternoon, they canvassed her neighborhood.
Nicole's disappearance also sent shockwaves through her hometown, Blacksburg, Virginia.
More than 1,200 searchers are on a mission to find the 13-year-old.
Volunteers even brought this infrared drone.
I know she wouldn't go nowhere for that many hours without her medicine.
Nicole was born with a damaged liver and needed a transplant before her first birthday. Now a teenager, she still needed her anti-rejection medication every day to survive. Her illness and surgical treatment had left Nicole with scars on her stomach and neck. Tammy says Nicole had emotional scars as well.
So she was being bullied?
Yeah, she did. She hated going to school. She would always make me write her a note for gym because they would pick on her about her scar.
Nicole's social media posts reveal a sadly typical teenage story. So lonely, she had suicidal thoughts, longing for love, and convinced nobody cared for her. Tammy says Nicole not only had trouble fitting in, she also had a difficult relationship with her father, David Lovell. He did prison time on a drug charge, and he's had other problems with the law.
She wanted his attention. She wanted his love.
I have regrets that I wasn't there. I feel, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I there for her more often?
He'd left Tammy before Nicole was born. The two were never married.
When you would go to work, was there anyone supervising her?
Yeah, my parents.
Your parents, did they live at the house?
Yes.
So she never went unsupervised?
No.
But Nicole was leading an unsupervised life online through the social media apps on her smartphone.
It's like a loaded gun.
Good morning, Blount County. It's your District Attorney, Pamela Casey.
Alabama DA Pamela Casey is on a national crusade, warning people about the dangers of social media.
If you pick up your child's phone and you don't know the password, that's a problem. If you don't know,
she began speaking out long before Nicole Lovell disappeared in Virginia, and her online safety videos have been seen by millions across the country.
I could actually go live on Periscope and post updates to you guys. If I can do that live sitting in my office, then your child can do that live in their bedroom.
Years ago, you had to worry about your kid getting snatched. Parents don't realize that essentially your kid can get snatched, their life taken by somebody they meet in their own bedroom.
By late on the day Nicole Lovell vanished, her parents' hope was fading with the winter light.
We love you, Nicole. We miss you. We want you home. I didn't sleep at all that night. I waited.
But it would be 3 days before Nicole's parents had to face the horrifying news that her body had been found.
Your whole world just comes tumbling down. Because she was my everything. Coley had a passion for pandas, music, dancing. Nicole touched many people throughout her short life.
Shock and sadness were everywhere, but investigators had gotten a big break, and it came from Nicole Lovell herself. She'd left behind virtual evidence of a real-life murder. Nicole's dad, David Lovell, says even before her body was found, investigators had found a solid lead. Something she had handwritten on her bedroom wall.
She wrote all her usernames and passwords to all her accounts.
FBI computer forensics experts traced Nicole's account information and quickly established that she'd regularly used Kik, a popular chat app attractive to teens in part because they can communicate anonymously without their parents knowing.
When you had her phone, did you ever click on the Kik app just to see what was inside?
No, I just made her delete it, uninstall it.
Do you believe she reinstalled it?
Yeah.
So the FBI puts in what they call an emergency disclosure request to Kik. They want to see Nicole's personal account, and they make a startling discovery. It turns out that in the last 2 days of her life, she'd been messaging with a person who had a chilling username, Dr. Tombstone. Using an IP address provided by Kik, investigators traced the Dr. Tombstone screen name to this young man, David Eisenhower, 18, a freshman engineering student at Virginia Tech.
I will personally not stop until I reach my peak performance.
Track and field champion from Maryland.
David Eisenhower seemed the last person in the world capable of killing a 13-year-old girl. He'd been a high school track star. Former classmate Dorothy Callahan says his brains and charisma were as strong as his strides.
He was a very celebrated student. He always had straight A's, and he was sort of cocky, and he was like, yeah, I'm David Eisenhower. I was just on the local news. I'm a big deal.
3 days after Nicole went missing, Eisenhower was picked up by police at his dorm and taken in for questioning. His roommate, Jeremy Bazdeo, walked in on the startling aftermath.
I went to my room and I saw the door open. I got turned around by the Virginia State Police and the FBI.
And what did they say?
They said, don't worry, it's not about you. It's about your roommate.
Bazdeo told 48 Hours that Eisenhower's behavior the night Nicole Lovell vanished was really odd.
He put on boots, but it wasn't raining that hard for boots. But, you know, I just let it go. And then he came back at 2 in the morning.
And did you ever see a knife in the room?
Yes. He usually leaves it on his desk.
Was it on his desk when the cops showed up?
No, they couldn't find it.
Eisenhower soon admitted to police he'd talked to Nicole outside her house that night. He was arrested and charged with abduction. Eisenhower's statements led them to another young woman, Natalie Keepers. She was brought in for questioning too.
Finding a job in this economy has gotten to be extremely important.
What did 19-year-old Natalie Keepers know about what happened to Nicole? Keepers, another Virginia Tech freshman, and another unlikely person of interest. Mark Jenkins used to be her boyfriend.
She wanted to study engineering and be like her father, who worked for NASA.
Investigators strongly suspected Natalie was involved. She, too, was arrested.
18-year-old Eisenhower, a Virginia Tech freshman engineering major.
And his friend Natalie Keepers.
With 2 people in custody, police made a grisly discovery. Nicole's nude body was located 90 miles away in North Carolina, says Surrey County Sheriff Graham Atkinson.
What kind of wounds were on her body?
She was stabbed, and her throat was cut. And then the thoughts turned to who were the animals that could have done something like this to her.
Sometimes it's usually the people we least expect.
DA Pamela Casey says David Eisenhower may represent a new kind of predator.
They could be your next door neighbor. They can stay behind their phone and hide behind their phone, and just like your child is doing.
Casey says criminals often use apps like Kik. Why? Because it's where kids hang out online. In fact, Kik, a Canadian company, claims that millions of American teens use their app every month. With David Eisenhower behind bars, it wasn't Kik, but an online gaming site that led investigators to this man's door, Bryce Dustin.
I almost felt like he was like a little brother.
It was on this gaming site that Bryce first chatted with Eisenhower. And though they never met in person, they began a 6-year-long internet friendship.
David, kept coming back to me for advice on everything.
What kind of problems would he ask you advice about?
Girls was a big one.
Dustin told us he remembers Eisenhower talking about a problem he had with one girl in particular, a girl Dustin now believes was Nicole.
He told me that he found out she was underage and that she wanted to be with him and that she was going to expose him if he wasn't with her.
He says Eisenhower was worried about being outed in a relationship with an underage girl, so he offered some big brother kind of advice.
If she wants to be your girlfriend, let her, but don't be the greatest boyfriend, Just don't text her, just ignore her, she'll go away.
This family was about to have one of their daughters go away as well, in the car of an online predator in Spokane, Washington.
This guy wants to kidnap my daughter tonight. He's planning to kidnap my daughter tonight.
Her last moments is what flashes through my mind. That's my nightmare.
David Lovell wishes he had done better in protecting Nicole.
If it can happen to my family, it can happen to anybody. I mean, flat out, anybody.
It can happen to any family, including one here in Spokane, Washington, about 2,500 miles from Virginia. The parents here got a tip that their 15-year-old daughter was being targeted by a 30-year-old man. And what's worse, the two were planning to run away that very night.
She was going to leave her iPad, hop in the car with a man she doesn't really even know.
It was June 7th, 2013, when Detective Elise Robertson of the Spokane Police Department's Special Victims Unit got the kind of call cops all over the country have come to expect.
A father was saying that his daughter was having an internet relationship with a 30-year-old man, and he had just found out.
And then that's when everything broke loose.
Until that moment, Brandy Srirachen and her husband Brandon seemed to have the quintessential American family. She teaching at a local church, he studying for a PhD in psychology. They'd been hands-on parents, raising their 2 sons, Joshua and Josiah, and 2 daughters, Ariel and Elizabeth. They shared a love of God, country, sports, and each other.
My parents were pretty strict.
Sometimes too strict, said Elizabeth, 18 at the time of our interview.
I felt like my parents were holding me back from what the average kid gets to experience.
And how much did your parents monitor your life?
I would say that they thought that they were monitoring me. They didn't understand that they actually weren't monitoring me. They probably had no clue about Kik and those dating sites.
But her parents did become suspicious when Elizabeth, then 15, suddenly started acting strangely.
She would be going to bed earlier than normal.
Elizabeth seemed distracted, less interested in family activities, in church, even in friends. Her parents took her smartphone away and asked to see her social media accounts. She refused.
And at that point, you're like, okay, yeah, something's really wrong here.
They were stunned to learn just how wrong. It all started with a phone call from Elizabeth's best friend's mother, a call that turned their world upside down.
Elizabeth is dating a 30-year-old, and he plans on coming down and getting her at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That very day?
Yeah, and we're like, what?
Elizabeth was angry and evasive, but her parents finally got her passwords and soon discovered the truth. She had been communicating with a stranger, a 30-year-old Seattle area man named Jason.
Jason Richards says, when I see you, baby, I am grabbing you, pulling you close to me, and holding you tightly.
What does Elizabeth say?
No kiss. And Jason says, baby, I'm going to kiss you deeply.
This guy's evil. She's fooled. She's lured in.
Initially, Elizabeth told Jason she was 18, but later admitted her real age, 15. The Sriraczens were stunned to learn that the pair had already met in person and been intimate. They were even discussing leaving the country. The two had used apps, including Facebook and Kik.
This is playing out in some ways like your own personal family horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The horror continued as the Sriraczens realized that within hours, Jason would be driving the 280 miles from Seattle to Spokane to pick up their daughter. They locked Elizabeth in her room with no phone or internet access and called police.
This guy wants to kidnap my daughter tonight. He's planning to kidnap my daughter tonight.
Were your hands kind of tied?
What do you do at that moment? You have a 15-year-old girl who's your only witness, who's denying everything.
Detective Robertson says that without hard evidence of an actual crime, police had to stay on the sidelines.
So there's nothing they can do for you?
There's absolutely nothing they can do for me.
When you hear that, you feel totally helpless, and it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do now?
What they did was hatch their own plan to turn the tables on the man who was about to lure their daughter away.
This is my daughter, and nobody's going to mess with her, and nobody's going to get her, and I'm going to do what it takes.
Jason had already messaged from the car.
I needed to communicate with him to get him to our house.
Gritting her teeth, Brandy went online, impersonating her own daughter.
For 7 hours, I sat there. And listened to him. Oh, baby, I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to get you in my arms. Lay in the same bed together, wake up in the morning. And for 7 hours, I communicated back. Oh, baby, I love you too. I can't wait.
In the pit of your stomach, that must have
It made me sick.
Jason is getting ever closer to your house. ever closer to your daughter.
My wife was up there, and she was on the iPad.
She's communicating with him.
Yes.
Posing as your daughter.
Exactly, yes.
While Brandy kept the conversation with Jason going, in the alley behind the Sirotchin's house, Brandon and his friends had set up a sting operation, like something out of an action movie.
I am over here with my car and my friend Phil. We're getting updates from my wife on the phone. My friend Damon is on this side of the street.
So the idea is like a pincer, right? You're gonna trap. It's like a bear trap that's gonna close.
Yes.
Brandon's friend, Phil, brought his 12-gauge shotgun. He'd been trained in special forces and had no idea how Jason would react.
Are you ready to use this?
If I have to, yes.
He pulls right in this drive right here.
It was 3 a.m. in Spokane, Washington, but could just as easily been high noon.
He comes all the way in here and about.
As Brandon Sirotchin and his team laid in wait, headlights appeared at one end of the alley. A 30-year-old man's sexual road trip to take a 15-year-old girl from her family was about to come to a shocking end.
He pulls in. At this time, we go ahead and we call Damon down here, and Damon just books it. And I'm pulling in here. Jason pulls in right there.
Brandon's friend, Phil, quickly approached the vehicle, shotgun raised.
I said, driver, put your hands on the steering wheel. Do not move or I will shoot you. A couple of times he moved his hands, and I said, what part of do not move do you not understand?
If Jason makes some sort of move, are you prepared to pull that trigger?
If he exited the car abruptly, I would have shot him.
They called the police, who arrived minutes later and arrested Jason. In his SUV, they found cell phones and a pair of hunting knives.
He was caught, but it wasn't over.
90 minutes later, Jason comes face to face with Spokane detective Elise Robertson.
So Jason, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I work for Royal Cup Coffee.
Detective Robertson learned Jason was actually Jason Richards, a 30-year-old divorced coffee distributor from the Seattle area. Like David Eisenhower and Natalie Keepers in the Lovell case, Jason Richards seemed nice and successful on the surface.
Who is this guy?
Jason is the guy next door.
He tried to turn his crime into a love story.
Pretty much fell for her very quickly. We said I love you pretty quickly, probably about a week and a half into really talking with each other.
At first, Richards insisted he had no idea Elizabeth was only 15 until a policeman told him at the time of his arrest.
He told me that she wasn't 18.
Okay.
I responded with, come again? And she's 18.
He was lying. The whole time, he was lying. The whole time. Over and over and over. Lie, 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 lie.
To see if her instincts were right,
Would you give me permission to look at your account?
Detective Robertson asked to see Richards' Facebook page. There were literally hundreds of exchanges between him and Elizabeth.
And I start looking at it and I realized, oh, he knew. He knew before he ever came over here she was 15.
Want to tell me the truth now?
Well, I looked right at him and I said, so you're going to tell me the truth now?
I fell in love with her, and I didn't know what to do.
And she told you that she was 15 and still in school?
Eventually.
Right.
This is our first meeting spot.
Elizabeth told her parents she was going jogging, but instead came to this parking lot.
When you actually saw him face to face, what did you think?
Holy crap. Like, I think it became a reality to me that it's not just somebody that I'm talking to over the internet.
Elizabeth says Jason took her to a hotel, got down on one knee, and proposed marriage. And then they got in bed. In the following weeks, he came to town again.
On those visits, did you have sex with him each time?
Yeah, we did.
For you, Jason is what?
He's a sexual predator.
completely just up my life.
My life was destroyed.
This hits you right now like a punch across the face, right?
It's just absolutely unbelievable.
Richards pleaded guilty to child rape and communication with a minor for immoral purposes. His lawyer argued Richards has autism, which can be a mitigating factor for several crimes in Washington state. He got a light sentence, 3 years.
These apps are apps that children are using. Take them on.
DA Pamela Casey says far too many internet predators are turning to apps like Kik, and their alleged crimes are making headlines across the U.S.
A lot of stuff's happening without parents knowing. I don't think people would let a 50-year-old felon into their house to hang out with their daughter, but that's exactly what they're doing online sometimes, and they don't know.
Jason Richards served his sentence and was released in 2017 with restrictions, including a restraining order to keep him away from Elizabeth. The Srirachans say they wish the judge had given him as much as life in prison.
It's just hard knowing he only got 3 years for everything, the pain that he caused me. It's way more deserving than 3 years. And he's a danger. It's not right.
In Virginia, Nicole Lovell's mother says there is no punishment severe enough for David Eisenhower and Natalie Keepers.
I want both of them to suffer.
And she says they aren't the only ones who should have to answer for her daughter's murder. She blames Kik, too.
They need to shut Kik down. It's just disgusting.
Kik is reported to be a billion-dollar company.
Please welcome to the stage Ted Livingston from Kik.
We caught up with the CEO at a tech conference in Brooklyn.
That's him right there. Mr. Livingston, Peter Van Sant, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
With CBS News. So I wanted to ask a quick question.
Sure.
What personal responsibility do you have to make sure that children are safe who use the Kik app?
Yeah, I think I have a huge responsibility.
I'm sure you're familiar with Nicole Lovell, a 13-year-old girl in Virginia. What would you say to Nicole's parents?
Like, when we heard about that case, like, that hit the office and hit me super hard.
Like many social media companies, Kik posts an online guide for parents, and in a statement told 48 Hours the company cooperates with law enforcement.
Actually designed it because
Ted Livingston claims his app is as safe as the competition.
I think it's no different than Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram. You know, you have bad people going.
As a parent, I disagree. I can check my child's Facebook account and Twitter account. I friend them, but with Kik, I can't.
Yeah, I think that's no different than Instagram. You have a private mode, you can have private messaging, all that exists there.
That's true, but Kik's design is attracting millions of teens, in part because many believe it's parent-proof, the best app to keep their social lives secret.
Kids are going to use a messenger. If we were to shut down Kik tomorrow, there will be 10 right behind it.
And she's like, hey, do you want to message me on some app called Kik? And I was like, sure.
Kik isn't on trial, but two once promising college students would soon be in the murder of Nicole Lovell. It was Nicole Lovell's digital footprint that led police to Virginia Tech freshman David Eisenhower. When they brought him in for questioning, he said he'd recently encountered the young girl on an anonymous chat app, and they moved over to Kik.
And she's like, hey, do you want to message me on some app called Kik? And I was like, sure, whatever.
Eisenhower said he met Nicole in person just once, the night she died, that he went to meet her, quickly saw how young she was, and left her alive.
I see someone who probably looked like she was 11 years old climb out of a window, and I was like, not for me. And I'm sitting here just like thinking to myself, you gotta get out of here, you gotta get out of here, you gotta get out of here.
But Nicole's Kik account told another story altogether, that they had been on Kik for months. They had met in person at least once before, and most likely been intimate. With reason to worry, Eisenhower volunteered he'd just purchased a new snow shovel and offered up his friend.
Would it help to mention I had someone else with me when I bought the shovel for snow purposes? Her name is Natalie Keepers.
And so police rounded up that second Virginia Tech student, Natalie Keepers. They recorded her telling a stunning tale, beginning the day before the murder.
On Monday, there was a general idea that, okay, he has to get her into the car somehow.
Keepers said Eisenhower feared Nicole was about to expose their relationship and asked for help brainstorming ways to kill her.
On Tuesday, that's when the official plan started coming together.
They bought the shovel, went out to dinner, and then Eisenhower dropped Keepers at her dorm. He had a prearranged date with Nicole. Then Keepers told the officers Eisenhower picked Nicole up, drove her into the woods, and stabbed her to death. The next day, he and Keepers went back to Walmart for cleaning supplies and disposed of the body together.
Where is she?
She's at a Rose by his grandparents' house.
Armed with this news, officers raced to find Nicole's body. Eisenhower and Keepers were arrested. For Nicole's family, a long wait was just beginning.
Is there any doubt who is responsible for the death of your daughter?
No.
It took 2 years, but in February of 2018, Eisenhower went on trial for her murder.
Finish ready to proceed, John. Okay.
Prosecutors described Nicole's final hours as she waited for her secret date.
She gives her mom a kiss, and she tells her she's going to bed. Cole pushes her dresser in front of the door. She climbs out of the window into the snowy night.
And into Eisenhower's waiting car. Nicole's mother described the horror of finding her daughter gone.
When was the next time that you saw Nicole?
In her coffin.
Security footage showed Eisenhower and Keepers buying the shovel. Photos revealed bloodstains and the bloody shovel found in Eisenhower's car.
That is a receipt.
And a Walmart employee read a list of items they purchased before discarding Nicole's body.
Top Job basic bleach cleaner, Great Value disinfectant wipes, and 2 pairs of cleaning gloves.
Eisenhower's lawyer said Natalie Keepers killed Nicole, and he said a bloody handprint on the shovel proves it.
The palm print that made that bloody palm print on the shovel was not David Eisenhower. It was ruled out as being David Eisenhower. It was Natalie Keepers. Be seated, come over.
But on the 4th day of testimony came a bombshell announcement.
Guilty or not guilty?
No contest.
Facing a mountain of incriminating evidence, Eisenhower suddenly changed his plea from not guilty to no contest. Prosecutors read one of his last Kik messages with Nicole into the court record.
From the defendant, but I can't stress enough that you don't tell anyone about me because they will find a way to hurt you. From Nicole Lowell, who will hurt me? Who's they? Why are you scaring me? Mr. Eisenhower, if you will please stand.
The judge accepted his revised plea and ruled Eisenhower guilty.
Found you guilty of abduction as charged in the indictment.
But Nicole's family still had one more ordeal to sit through. In September 2018, Natalie Keepers went on trial as an accessory to murder. she had already pleaded guilty to helping Eisenhower conceal Nicole's body. Prosecutors told new jurors the same story, that David Eisenhower killed Nicole Lovell, but he had help from Natalie Keepers.
Over several weeks, they planned out the murder. They considered shooting her, poisoning her, making it look like it was a suicide.
Prosecutors played audio recordings of Keepers describing Eisenhower's messages to her on Kick.
He would say, off her, kill the bitch, kill her.
Keepers said she knew it was wrong.
I had no emotion. He became a sociopath, and he thought of me as a sociopath in training, I guess.
Keepers' attorney called a neuropsychologist who examined Keepers and diagnosed her with 7 mental disorders, including borderline personality disorder and a disorder like schizophrenia.
These people may look odd. Their sense of reality is off. Their ability to relate to others is off. Their interpersonal skills are off.
The doctor said Keepers' mental state could have made her interview with the officers unreliable.
Such a person would be highly easily influenced and gullible, and would be easily led.
And Keepers' lawyers say she was playing along with Eisenhower to keep his friendship and had no idea he would really kill Nicole.
You will hear her actually describe that she thought it was a fantasy, something that wasn't real.
I thought he was joking. I didn't think David could actually kill her.
But the prosecutors disputed that notion and read Keepers' Kick messages to Eisenhower after the murder, telling him he deserved a good night's sleep.
She's proud. She's proud of what she and David Eisenhower did. It's almost like congratulating someone for getting through 5 finals in a week. You deserve it. Get some sleep.
The jury took just over 1 hour to reach a verdict.
We, the jury, unanimously found the defendant, Natalie Marie Keepers, guilty of being an accessory before the fact.
Natalie Keepers was sentenced to 40 years in prison, and David Eisenhower was sentenced to 50 years in prison. Neither is eligible for parole. They both apologized to Nicole's family.
I wish I could have stopped. I never intended for this to happen.
Nothing can ever undo what has been done, and for that, I am deeply, sincerely, and forever sorry.
Even with guilty verdicts, the question of why may never be answered. The shell-shocked community of Blacksburg still doesn't understand how 2 intelligent college kids, with their lives in front of them, would take the life of a 13-year-old girl.
I wish he would have done it to me instead of her. I would trade places with her in a heartbeat. Because she deserved to live. And nothing's the same.
Nicole Lovell's death is a dark reminder of how social media
I'm Nicole Lovell.
have profoundly changed society.
For the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
I hope everybody learns from this. Hold their kids tight, because it can happen to you.
Today, our children have a host of new ways to live and new ways to die as well.
48 hours. To miss it would be a crime.
Were you at all prepared for what happened in this case?
I don't like to go back and think of her at the bottom of the stairs.
Who in Marty's life? Who would have done this?
She was found in a pool of blood. Who has done this to Marty?
I had no idea who could have done it.
Could it have been somebody at work?
Whoever did it was still out there. She's such a good person. Who would do that to somebody? How could anyone do this to my daughter Marty? I think that day will stay with me forever.
September 8th, 2010 was a normal day at the office. Then there was a 10 o'clock production meeting, and Marty wasn't in it. That was extremely unusual. Marty is very dependable and reliable. Marty is a big bunch of dynamite in a little bitty package. She might weigh 97 pounds soaking wet, but she gets stuff done.
She is a genuine, good-hearted, outgoing, fun person. She is a hard worker, and she's always trying to make everything better.
We work for an apparel company. It's a small manufacturing facility. It's a tight-knit group.
The meeting was over, and I asked, "Where's Marty?" And somebody said, "We don't know." I sent her a quick text, maybe something had come up, no reply to the text. I called her a few times, she never phoned me back. That's why I knew that something was wrong, because she would not just miss work.
There was a real sense of concern, tears. What do we do? What should we do? About 11:30, I decided to drive by her house. When I arrived there, her car was sitting in the driveway. I walked up, rang the doorbell, no answer. Knocked on the door, no answer. So I went back to my car, on my cell phone, and I called the office and said, "The house seems eerily empty. I think perhaps you should call the police."
The neighborhood is a very quiet residential neighborhood. We don't get many calls in that area. I went up to the front door. I noticed that the door was closed and not locked. I opened up the door and said, "It's the police department. Marty, are you home?" I said that over and over again. I do notice what appears to be a woman's purse sitting on a table in the kitchen or dining area. Seeing the purse there told me that, I'm married and I have, my wife doesn't go anywhere without her purse. So at that point I was kind of thinking, well, maybe she is here somewhere then. I saw no clues upstairs that would indicate any kind of struggle. And then I started walking down the stairs to the basement. When I got to about 2 or 3 steps from the very bottom, I noticed that there was a person laying on the floor, kind of in a fetal position, covered head to toe in blood, and there was a large amount of blood surrounding this person on the floor. Marty was breathing. It seemed like it was somewhat labored. I knelt down next to her and I asked her over and over again, "Who did this? Who did this to you, Marty? Who did this to you?" I wanted to get, I guess, what could have been a dying declaration if that was what that was going to be.
When I walked in, they had just wheeled her in. I could not tell if it was a man or a woman, couldn't tell if she was young or old, couldn't tell what race she was. It was what appeared to be a lifeless form with dried blood in this swollen head. My first thing was to assess to see had they brought me a live person or not. What we found was the major veins, skin, muscle of the left neck had been completely cut through. And the major artery actually had a couple of scrapes on it, so it's literally millimeters away from having been cut through. For the next hour and a half, we just meticulously cleaned and put back together all of those injuries. I remained still very concerned about her head. In addition to the cut, she had all these bruises and swelling to her face. And head injury to me is something that I take very seriously. Concussions, which is essentially what she had, can lead to swelling, and they can look fine initially and then die 24, sometimes 72 hours later. Some of the nurses were starting to get very quiet and tears were welling up. And then in the back of my mind, I'm going, wait a minute, this happened in my neighborhood. Let me get a call into my wife. Let me find out where my kids are. It starts slowly hitting you in waves, the enormity of what really had happened.
My grandma picked me up and went to the hospital, and they took me straight back to the ICU. I had no idea how serious it was because I wasn't getting a lot of information. I didn't even know what happened. I saw my mom, and I started bawling. I didn't recognize her. Her eyes were swollen shut. Her arms, her legs, her hands were the only thing that I could recognize.
I don't know how to describe it other than you just have knots in your stomach and you're in disbelief. Marty's head was swollen like 3 times the size of her normal head. It was just unbelievable. You're kind of in shock that this is your daughter laying there.
My brother, I just know my brother was very angry because it's his mom, it's our mom, but no one can do that to his mom. Like, that just really got him worked up. The fact that both of us, the fact that somebody could just hurt our mom. Like, you can't just try and take our mom away from us. As a teenager, of course, I'd been sassy with my mom, and we got in an argument. Seeing her in that state just made me feel so bad for everything that I had said ever, any little teenager thing. I just wish I could take it all back. I got really close to her, and I said, I will never be mean to you ever again.
When we got to the hospital, some key things that I noticed was that her clothes appeared to be intact, her bra appeared to be intact, and there was no signs of a sexual assault. Every step of the process, you're looking for some sort of motive. At that time, I was advised her mother had arrived at the hospital, and I went to speak with her to obtain any information we could to assist us with this investigation.
They were asking me if I could think of anyone who might have done this to Marty.
Marty's mother tells us that she has an ex-husband by the name of Steve Hill. She advised us that Marty and Steve, they communicate regularly. Her mother also had told us she was a workaholic. She very rarely left the house. To her knowledge, she wasn't dating anybody. And if she was not working, she was typically at home. Marty was still unable to communicate with us. We had very limited information as to who she might have been with, who she may have had recent communication with, and naturally your first thought is possibly the ex-husband might be responsible.
The detectives asked me about my parents. I kept asking, like, do your parents get along? I remember being really defensive. Like, my dad would never do this, and no one that I know would.
We go to Marty's ex-husband's house, Steve Hill, to interview him that night. He was very cooperative, invited us in the house. He gave us the full account of what he had done that day and told us about his history with Marty and that they had had some rough times together, but he loved her and he would never hurt her. He wanted to know who did this just as bad as we did.
And that's where it became very difficult for us. We were stuck with the information of Mr. Hill was not a suspect and very limited after that.
Me and my dad had a lot of conversations trying to get to the bottom and think of who would have done it. Someone had broken into my grandma's house a few days before. Maybe it was the same person, and maybe someone was after our family.
They had bandages over her cuts in her neck, so we really couldn't see them, but we could see the blood coming from her eyes. It was just kind of tears with blood dripping down her eyes. At that point, we still weren't sure what was going to happen. We knew she was fighting to stay alive.
I just remember I started crying and saying, all I want to do is talk to my mom. Like, the only thing I wanted to do is be able to talk to my mom.
There was quite a fear, really, among the office. Could somebody else be a target?
You're looking over your shoulder even at the office, and when you're leaving the office and everywhere you go, wondering who has done this to Marty. And if you know them.
Prairie Village detectives came to the office. Obviously, they're just trying to get a sense of Marty's routine, just looking for any ideas that perhaps would give them a direction in which to turn.
Marty's mother told us that there was a company by the name of B&J Construction who had recently done work at her house who she had actually referred to Marty. She told me that the supervisor of that construction company was named Brian and that he seemed to be a nice guy.
I thought Brian was a hard worker and a family man, and he did good work. Actually, that is why Marty decided to go ahead and use him, because he did some stuccoing inside my house, and he did a really good job.
When I initially called Brian, I didn't even know his last name. He called me back and told me that his last name was Pennington.
He was 26 years old, lived in Leeton, Missouri, approximately an hour and a half from the Kansas City metro area. We decided that we wanted to just ask him some basic questions.
We arrived at Brian's house a little after 9:00 p.m. When we initially pulled up, it was a very dark house. It's kind of secluded. When we knocked on the door, we were invited in the house. My partner and I followed Brian into the kitchen. He was very polite, cooperative.
How long did you work at Marty's house?
It's like 3 or 4 days.
What did you think when you heard that Marty got attacked?
I really didn't know what to think. She's a really, really decent lady.
Have you heard what happened to her at all?
No. My mother-in-law was looking on the news channel earlier and showed pictures of her house and stuff, and I really didn't know what to think.
During this conversation, I noticed that Brian had several scratches on the left side of his face. Where are the scratches from on your face?
A big dog sitting outside.
What kind of dog you have?
Pit bull.
When did those happen?
Yesterday. She just jumps all over me, and when I bent down yesterday to unhook the chain, she jumped up and caught me in the side of the face.
When I looked at the scratches, they didn't appear to be consistent with what a dog would do. I felt like he was hiding something from me. I asked him if he had attacked Marty. He told me that he had not. He kept stressing to us that he was having financial difficulties and there was no way he could drive to Kansas City to commit this crime due to the fact he didn't have enough money for gas. I talked to Brian's wife, Jessica, in the living room of the house. Has Brian been here all this week? I asked her if Brian had been home on the morning of the attack.
He finished that job last month, and he's been here with me for 2 weeks.
Okay. At night?
Night and day.
Night and day.
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere in the night. I can't sleep at night if he's not here.
She said there was no way that he could have done this attack because he had been with her the entire time. I also asked Jessica about the scratches on Brian's face. Do you know how he got those?
They're from the dog, I swear.
I did not believe Jessica. She seemed like she was very naive. She was very young. I think she was 20 years old at the time of this. She had 2 young children, and I thought she would say anything possible to help protect her husband and to have him around. We have no doubt that we're going to find the person that's responsible for this.
Brian doesn't have the heart for that.
I hope so. Believe me, I hope you're right.
I'm just scared. I've never been in this kind of situation.
Yeah, and if you're telling me the truth, you don't have a thing in the world to worry about.
Besides my kids, I know he did work on that house. That's what I'm scared about.
And then I asked Brian if he happened to have any clothes that had blood on them in his house. He immediately told me that he didn't. I asked him if I could look through his clothing, his dirty clothing, and he told me that I could. I saw a hamper in the corner of the bathroom. When I started pulling clothes out, I found a pair of jeans near the bottom of the hamper. When I pulled the jeans out, I immediately saw they were covered in a red stain. Most of the stain was towards the knees and down towards the bottom portion of the pant leg. You know what this stuff is on the bottom?
Grease.
Grease?
Something, I don't know.
Not blood though, right?
No.
Okay.
When I saw the red stains, it was definitely a moment of, we might have something.
I tried to remain calm and friendly with Brian and asked him if he would give me consent to take the jeans from his house. Brian signed a written consent form that I could take jeans, shoes, DNA swabs, and also pictures of the scratches on his face.
I guess the best word, we were surprised that we were getting this sort of cooperation with the recovery of these items.
I think Brian Pennington thought we would not follow up, we would not do any other investigation, that we would just believe what he said and believe what his wife was telling us. My partner and I drove directly to the crime lab. I think we got there around 11 o'clock at night.
Actually, within 30 minutes of being at the crime lab, we were told that the stains on the jeans tested positive for human blood. We did not know who the blood belonged to. It could have been anybody's blood at that point, and we would have to wait a couple more days to determine who the blood belonged to. We did not tell anybody about this. We were told that Marty would be able to talk to us eventually. We did not want to interfere with the investigation and have them give Marty ideas. We wanted anything that Marty would say to come directly from Marty and nothing we gave her thoughts or suspicions about. So we were kind of in a holding pattern, waiting to get Marty's side of the story. And in fact, on that Saturday morning, the morning after leaving Mr. Pennington's house, we were contacted that Marty was talking at the hospital.
I don't remember those first days. I don't remember feeling any pain. I do remember feeling like I had too much medicine in me. I didn't feel good. I believe it was the third day when I started speaking. Suddenly, it all kind of flooded back what had happened. There was no questions. I knew who it was and what he had done. I remember the day that Marty said her first word. My daughter Monica and I were walking in, and the doctor said she just spoke. As soon as we got in there, we asked her if she could remember who did this. And she said, Brian. I had gotten up early. I heard a knock at the door. Looking out the window, I saw that it was Brian Pennington, the man that I had hired to do some work on the house. I couldn't really understand for sure why he would be there. It was odd that he was there that early. It was odd that he didn't call first. I went to the door, let him in, and I remember it just being a fairly brief conversation. He mentioned that he remembered something that was in the basement that he thought I should have done. So we started walking to the basement. I was leading. I do remember talking, but I also felt like he was being quiet. Like he would at least say, huh, what, huh, okay. I was getting an odd feeling as we're going down the stairs. And then just 2 steps from the bottom of the stairs, he grabbed my throat. It was very tight and very strong. I kept saying, what are you doing? It was just silence. He never said a word. My voice kept getting lower, softer, and suddenly I couldn't speak. My voice couldn't come out, and I passed out.
We received a call from the crime lab. The blood found on the jeans was in fact Marty Hill's blood.
We knew we had enough for an arrest warrant at that time.
On Monday, September 13th, 5 days after the attack, we go to Brian's house in Leeton, Missouri. We find Brian driving down the road.
He was laid back in the front passenger seat. It appeared his wife was driving.
He was taken into custody at that time.
He showed no signs of being upset. He showed no signs of any anger. There was absolutely no emotion.
When my mom got the call and they told her that they had arrested Brian Pennington, she almost fell over. It was extremely emotional for my mom because she actually referred Brian to Marty. She had actually worked with Brian for 2 years prior to that, knew his wife, knew his kids, and felt that Brian was a safe person. So hearing that they actually had enough evidence to arrest him made it real, that it was really him and that he really did this, and this was a person that she knew.
I believe that Mr. Pennington is an evil person. One of the theories we have in this investigation is not only did Mr. Pennington strangle Marty initially, it's our belief that he then beat her head into the concrete floor, which caused multiple facial fractures. And if that was not enough, he then slit her throat 3 to 4 times, leaving her to die in her basement that morning. I believe that Mr. Pennington was surprised when we arrived at his door and told him that Marty Hill was still alive. I don't believe Mr. Pennington thought that he would be caught.
We always have a little saying that the trauma surgeons save these patients' lives, but we have the opportunity to get them back to living their lives. The first time I met Marty, she had been in the hospital for about a week. Her brain was stunned and in shock. She could walk, but it wasn't pretty. Her feet were very far apart. She couldn't put her feet together and stand still without falling over. She had some issues with her vision. She had difficulty with her hearing, difficulty with her memory, difficulty with processing things. She would change topics at the speed of light.
The attack was very difficult for both Stephen and Mackenzie, Marty's kids. Stephen is very protective over his mother. He lives in Houston, and he flew up that same evening, and he took it very hard. He actually cleaned the blood off of the floor of Marty's house. He wouldn't let anybody in the house. He didn't want anybody to see her blood all over the house.
I grew up a lot through the whole thing. I spent my 16th birthday in the hospital, And I remember her giving me a card, and her handwriting on the card was something that really made it real for me. Her handwriting just didn't look like her handwriting. It was almost like she had to start over, like being a kid again and build up to where she is now.
Marty's daughter, Mackenzie, played a huge role in Marty's recovery. I feel that Mackenzie's biggest role was Marty could feel like a mother. I have a responsibility. I have things that I need to get done for my daughter.
What comes after you start feeling better physically is the unseen trauma, the emotion of realizing what happened to you. So after she'd left the hospital and gone home to my mom's, it became more about the emotional trauma that had to start healing.
At that point, I was still just processing it. How someone that seems perfectly fine, perfectly normal, could be that, could be that violent.
Brian Pennington had been arrested for attempted first-degree murder. My goal was to put Mr. Pennington in prison for as long as our legal system would allow. The most important thing that we had was the DNA evidence on Mr. Pennington's genes. We also had facial scratches on his cheeks that he advised were from a pit bull. They were strong evidence for us, but defense attorneys can always find ways to try to cause reasonable doubts.
The frustrating part about this investigation is that we absolutely have no motive that we are aware of.
There was no theft that occurred from Marty's house. She had money laying out. Her purse was laying out. He did not take it. There was no sexual assault. There was no history that they had spoken since the work had been conducted at her house in late August. While preparing to go to court, we did more background investigation on Brian. I checked our computer database and noticed that Mr. Pennington had a prior police record.
I believe he had over 60 contacts with law enforcement officers. He was involved in several domestic violence incidents where injuries occurred to wives, to girlfriends. Battering women was nothing new to him.
Jessica Pennington was a key witness to this case. She provided her husband an alibi at the time of the initial interview by the detectives. She told the detectives that her husband was home during the entire time frame of the attack. That was going to be hard to get around in front of a jury.
The night before the preliminary hearing, Marty was very nervous about seeing Brian Pennington. She was also very nervous about what she was going to say, what the attorneys, what questions they were going to ask.
The pressure was tremendous because, in our opinion, Brian was and is a very dangerous individual. And if we failed at the preliminary hearing, he would be released. He would be free. I was very concerned about Marty's physical health. When I first met her, she was struggling just to walk and sit down in a chair. And one of my concerns was, even as aggressive of a prosecution that we were going to have, I didn't want to cause her more emotional harm or physical harm. The other concern was her memory. We knew that if she could identify Mr. Pennington as her attacker in the courtroom, that we could get a conviction. The problem was, with all of the injuries to her, we didn't know if she would be able to do that.
We were in the courtroom and they brought Brian in and they seated him to the far right of our family. It was very emotional. and unbelievable. It just made you want to cry. So it was very hard to see him. Brian Pennington had no one on his side of the courtroom. Not even his mother, okay?
He always stared straight at the wall, and he never looked around until Marty walked in the door. The only time he moved his head from straight forward was when she walked in the room, and I saw his eyes go like this, almost like he saw a ghost. I will always remember that. I could see it and feel it, that he couldn't believe she was walking down that aisle, gonna go up and speak.
When Marty first walked into the courtroom, she was very slow, she was a little bit hunched over, and I was concerned if she was going to be able to make it through this. I've always told her just to focus on me. You and I are going to have a conversation, block everybody else out. It's going to be you and me. We can do this.
I remember while I was speaking that I could, out of the corner of my eyes, kind of see him glancing at me.
Something about the basement.
It was still hard to process because I'm seeing this person that had come to work for me, and I thought he was fine.
He showed no emotion. I felt he was very detached from the situation, and it didn't bother him that he had almost killed a woman. The defendants that detach and show no emotion are the ones that frighten us the most.
It's still too hard to understand someone that you felt like you knew was capable of something like that.
I held my breath until she identified Brian as the person that attacked her, because I was very concerned with the traumatic brain injury, with everything she'd been through, if she was going to be able to do that, and she did it.
I felt that it was important that I got up there and could do what they needed me to do.
I smiled at her. I wanted her to know she did a great job. One of the other keys to the case was Jessica Pennington. I thought that she would be a very hostile witness and would testify in his behalf, say he was home that entire time frame. We were able to get her alone with the detectives and tell her how important it was to tell the truth. I think the key factor with Jessica was learning how severely beaten Marty was and how close Marty came to dying. And I think Jessica, the human side of her, understood that and realized it was more important to tell the truth than to protect Brian. And Jessica Pennington broke down and at that time admitted to us that she had lied and that in fact her husband, Mr. Pennington, was not at home with her during the time of the attack.
I learned from Jessica that Brian had attacked her on numerous occasions, assaulted, and threatened her.
In the end, Jessica became one of our best witnesses against Brian. At the end of the preliminary hearing, the judge ruled there was enough evidence to take the case to trial. It didn't appear that Brian had a lot of fight left when it came to the case, and it was made clear to us through his defense counsel that he wanted to work out a deal. The issue with the deal was how long would he serve in the Kansas State prison system. We could go through the jury trial and get 38 years, or we could work out a plea and get less than that. A key factor in the evaluation was Marty. We knew that she still had physical issues, mental issues, and I believe that Marty wanted to work out a deal.
There was a day when she called me and said, it's hard enough for 12 people to decide where to go to lunch, let alone decide how to convict someone.
It took several months, but we finally agreed on 28.5 years. Because that was going to end it for Marty. She wouldn't have to testify. And also I thought it was important for her children to have closure on this too.
The sentencing, we expected it to be brief and short and to the point, and for him to be convicted and sentenced.
I walked into the sentencing hearing. I looked at Brian Pennington. I looked at the defense counsel, and I knew something was wrong. At the sentencing hearing, Brian and his defense counsel were not speaking with one another. Brian looked angry, so I knew that there was an issue. We were told that Brian wanted to withdraw his plea. He wanted to go to trial. It was my perception that Brian had 6 weeks since the plea date to think about serving 28 years in prison. Keep in mind, he had not been alive for 28 years, so I don't think he could get his head around the fact that he would serve more time in prison than he had been on this earth. My initial thought was, I had told Marty it was going to be over today, and that may not happen. The courtroom was filled with tension. Many of Marty's family members were very upset.
Everyone who had traveled from miles and miles and spent a lot of money on plane tickets was like, oh my gosh, you know, he's gonna change his plea right here.
It was decided that we would go in court and that Brian would tell the judge the reasons why he wanted to withdraw his plea. Brian simply told him it was the pressure and that it was too much time. The judge tells him that those are not sufficient reasons to withdraw his plea. We then moved on to the victims' statements and their family members.
I was almost excited to be able to talk to him.
I will never understand why you did this to my mom. You put my entire family through something that no family should ever have to go through. And you put me through something that a 15-year-old especially should never have to go through.
I looked at him straight in the face the entire time I was talking. I got to tell him how strong our family was. And even though he pretended like he wasn't listening, he wouldn't look at me, I knew that he heard what I was saying. I finally felt powerful towards him.
The most powerful part to me was when Marty stood up and faced the man that tried to kill her. She said to Brian, "I was nothing but nice to you," and asking him, "Why did you do this to me?" And he just sat there, no response.
The judge asked Brian if he had anything to say before he gave him his sentence. The attorneys came back and said that he had nothing to say.
That he has the right to say nothing is very hard. It feels like he should at least owe us an explanation.
Hopefully one day he'll communicate why he did it. I think it would help us all understand that it wasn't just a random event, that there was some motive behind it, some reason why it happened.
The judge followed the plea agreement and sentenced Brian to 28.5 years in the Kansas prison system.
I felt like we had a big team working together that made things right. Great detectives, great attorney, great family support, great friends.
I'm so proud of my mom. I need to become more like her and the person that she is. I need to have her work ethic and her personality and just to be a likable person so that if anything like that happened to me, that I would be able to make it through it like she did. I'm so thankful for the people at my mom's work that stepped up. It wasn't just like someone is missing from work. It was that one of their friends hadn't shown up and they were wondering why. I think that the coworkers were definitely like my mom's angels.
I don't think any of us consider ourselves heroes in this. It's Marty's the hero. She could have decided this thing can beat me. And it's made her an amazing person.
I think the kickboxing, it initially started as just something to push myself a little further, working out. I knew that that was going to be a key role in getting back to my regular life. I do have scars. I have all across my neck still. I tend to probably pull my hair forward and cover it up. I still have tingling down the left side. My face feels like a mannequin from here on, and my ear's very tight. So it's always a reminder, for sure.
I think she's still dealing with the emotional part of it, that it's never going to be something that we can just put in the past, even though it's over with and he's in jail and everything, that it's still there.
I think about the attack and the event a lot. How is someone 26 and how do they get to a level that they could be that vicious and be capable of doing those things? If I could ask Pennington anything, it would be why, or what were you doing? And yes, just why.